welcome to a new ship tour, and today we're taking a look at the MSC Virtuosa, a cruise ship of MSC Cruises and part of the Meraviglia Plus class. The ship is 331.43 meters long, 43 meters wide, has a gross tonnage of 181,541 and she can carry more than 6,300 passengers. She was taken into service in 2021 with a delay of a year due to COVID and was sailing mainly from Southampton in the season 2025. She is part of the Meraviglia Plus class, so she's a lengthened sister of the MSC Meraviglia and MSC Bellissima. She has a bigger gross tonnage and she is 16 meters longer than those two ships. And we've already seen a sister ship of her here in a ship tour, the MSC Euribia. We are starting our ship tour as always on the lowest deck. We can skip deck 4 because there are only exits and entrances. The first public areas can be found on deck 5. We're starting at the rear part of the ship, and here we can see the Blue Danube restaurant, which is one of the main restaurants. There are several main restaurants on board. The Blue Danube is one of them, the only one located on deck 5. With MSC you get assigned to a specific table in one of those main restaurants, and there are 2 seatings, so you get assigned to a restaurant, to a table and to a seating time. We will hear a bit more about this later on. We're now in the main atrium. This is the Infinity Atrium, and of course it is a new ship, so the atrium is not too big, but due to a lot of mirrors it looks much bigger than it actually is. It only stretches over 3 decks. Here in the atrium we have the excursions office, so here you can book excursions. You can also book your next cruise here in the atrium. Of course you can find the reception on this location, and here we can see the very beautiful glamorous atrium with a very typical design of MSC with Swarovski stones, chrome mirrors and a very modern and typical look. We can also see it at the pictures. Of course I've included the pictures again. Here we can see the mirror on the roof, which makes the atrium look much bigger than it actually is. And we can also take a look at the Infinity Bar, which is the first bar here on board. It's a rather small bar in the atrium, a typical atrium bar. And we also have a stage here in the atrium that can be used for events. Here we can see the reception, and here we can see the stage on the picture. And of course we can also take a look at the bar again. So this bar doesn't have that much seating, it's mainly bar stools, but there are also several seats behind the bar. And we have already seen everything on deck number 5, because on the rest of the deck there are only cabins. We have the Grand Theater in the front, but we cannot access it from deck 5, and that's why we can now head up to deck number 6. And to get there we are using the famous Swarovski stairs, which is very typical for MSC Cruises. Of course this is one of the main photo spots, especially during gala nights. And we are now on deck 6, one of the most important decks on board, together with deck 7. We have only public areas here on this deck. Here we have the MSC Starship Club, which is a unique bar. If you remember my ship tour around MSC Euribia, you remember that here you could do the digital wine tasting, and here in the same location you have the Starship Club. The bar is designed like a starship, hence the name, and the most interesting feature is this robot called Rob, and he can mix the drinks for you. You can get some special drinks, and you can also make your own drinks, and they will be made by Rob, and you can also get some special drinks at the bar made by humans. Here we have a special decoration. We can see some robots. If we compare to the Euribia, there we had a wine-inspired theming here in this area, and here we have a robot-inspired theming. And from here we can head on to the rear part of the ship, and we're gonna reach 3 more main restaurants. On the starboard side, we have the Symphony, and on the port side we have the Opera. Those are two similar restaurants, they're just mirrored, so they are exactly the same, just on the other side of the ship. Also here you can get assigned to a table. Also here you have two seatings. All the main restaurants are the same, they have the same food, so it doesn't make that much of a difference in which restaurant you get your table. Some restaurants are then also open for breakfast or for lunch, and you can see them also if you do not have a table there. Some restaurants are only open for dinner. You have two seatings, and I would always recommend to take the second seating, because there you have more time, there's no second group coming behind you, so nobody has to rush to make sure that you're leaving in time, so I personally recommend the second seating. Here we can see the fourth main restaurant, which is called Minuetto, and it's the restaurant with the nicest view. It's right at the stern of the ship, with a fantastic view. And here we can see the Symphony restaurant. As you can see, it looks exactly the same like the Opera. Later on, towards the end of the video, we will also see the buffet restaurant. We'll hear a bit more about the food quality then. Of course, you're gonna see it in the next video as well. And we're now heading back into the Infinity Atrium. Here on this deck, deck 6, we have the photo gallery. Of course, on MSC ships there are also some photographers on board that are taking pictures, for example during embarkation, also during the cruise, and you can buy them here. In front of that we have a seating area that doesn't belong to any bars, so here you can just sit down. If you do not want to have a drink, this is a nice place to sit down, wait for friends, for example. And behind that we have the MSC logo shop. MSC has a lot of logo products, so here you can get some nice souvenirs for friends that stayed at home. You can bring them a little gift from MSC. I can buy them here. And now we're at the main highlight of the ship, and that's of course the Galleria Virtuosa, with a huge LED screen on top, which can show different pictures, different animated skies, but they are also showing some shows here, and we will see that in the next video as well. Now we're taking a look at this most important part of the ship. Here you will find most public areas. For example, here you can get some information about the MSC Foundation. You can see what they are doing and how you can contribute to them. Right next to it we have the L'Atelier Bar and Art. We will see that later on. We will take a closer look in a second. On the other side we have one of the shops. There are a lot of shops on board. This is the shopping gallery, one of the biggest shops on board. Of course it was still closed. As you know, I'm always doing my ship tours early in the morning when all passengers are still sleeping, so I do not have to blur faces and I can show you all areas. And we're now taking a look at the L'Atelier, which is a bar and also an art exhibition. Here you can see some artworks behind glass, so quite beautiful and expensive pieces of art you can see here. Otherwise, this bar has a French theming. It looks like a French cafe, and it also comes with a restaurant that we're going to see in a second. It's a beautiful lounge and bar, and we can also head to the bar now. So you can see also this area is looking fantastic. It is very, very beautiful. And we can now head to the restaurant after taking a look at the pictures of this area. And the restaurant is called the Indochine restaurant, and it's a fusion restaurant combining Vietnamese and French cuisine. It's a very, very beautiful small restaurant, of course not included, it's a specialty restaurant. Only downside is that it is open to the bar, so you could hear a lot of noises coming from the bar and from the Galleria Virtuosa. And now we're also heading back to the Galleria Virtuosa. On the other side we can see the most expensive shops on board, and there are several shops, and they're combined in the luxury plaza. Here you can buy, for example, jewelry, watches and all other things that are rather expensive. Comes with its own little plaza, and from there you have the entrance to the different shops. In general, the Galleria Virtuosa is designed like a little village, like a little shopping street. That's why all the shops are looking like little buildings. It's quite interesting and quite nice, and of course it is one of the main highlights of the ship and this ship class. There are also several food options here around. For example, straight ahead we can see crepe and gelato. Obviously you can get some nice crepe and ice cream there. It belongs to the Jean-Philippe brand, which we can see later on again. And on the other side we have another possibility to book your next excursion on board. As always, I would recommend booking all excursions as soon as possible, either directly when you book the cruise or as soon as they are bookable, because only then you can be sure that you get your excursion you want to do, because the best excursions are usually sold out pretty quickly. Here we have another specialty restaurant which is called Hola Taco and Cantina. It's a Mexican and Caribbean restaurant, also a specialty restaurant, so it's not included. Here we can see it on the picture as well. And on the other side we have the second Jean-Philippe brand place. It's Jean-Philippe Chocolat and Café. Here you can buy chocolate and you can also sit down and enjoy some chocolate products. As you can see, it's pretty spacious, so you can buy a lot of different chocolate here. And then the back of the shop you also have the seating area where you can enjoy the chocolate products directly at the store. And we are now continuing on to the front of the ship, and here we can see some more chocolate products. You can even buy an MSC ship made out of chocolate. We can see some different pieces of art made out of chocolate here on the left side, and on the right side in a second we can see some huge pieces of art made out of chocolate. Here we can see them, so that's quite impressive. Right behind it we have another important bar. It's not the biggest bar on board, but it's in a quite important location right at the Galleria Virtuosa. This is the Virtuosa Bar and Lounge. It's also located directly in front of the Grand Theatre, so it is in a quite good position. On the other side we have the Virtuosa Boutique, another shop. So as you can see, you have very good shopping opportunities here on board of the MSC Virtuosa. And now we're heading to the Grand Theatre, which is right at the front of the ship. And now, even though it's called Le Grand Theatre, Le Grand Théâtre, it is a rather small theatre. I've already explained it in several ship tours. Of course, a theatre takes away a lot of space and it's only used in the evening. So usually on newer ships the theatre is getting smaller and they show the shows twice. Also here on the MSC Virtuosa you can see shows twice or even 3 times a day, and you need to make a reservation on the MSC app for each show. That works quite well. As soon as you see there's a nice show, just make a reservation and that's it. If you forget to make a reservation, you can still go there and hope that somebody is not using their reservation, and then you can go in as well, but I would recommend to just simply make the reservation ahead. One deck above, on deck 7, we have the MSC Aurea Spa. It's the spa area, comes also with a hairdresser, but that's all I can show you because obviously the spa area is closed this early in the morning, and as soon as it opens it's not possible to film in there. So we're now heading back to the Galleria Virtuosa. Here on the left side we have the TV studio and bar, which is another big and important bar on board, which also comes with a TV studio where you can make some productions for the onboard TV channels. On this deck we have no areas with a nice view because there are the lifeboats right in front of the windows, so you have no view of the ocean from this deck. Here we can see the Galleria Virtuosa once again, of course the main highlight of the ship, very distinctive for the Meraviglia and Meraviglia Plus ship class. Here we can see the Masters of the Sea. That has nothing to do with Royal Caribbean, of course. No, it is the pub. It's a very traditional pub, so it's using dark wood and it looks pretty traditional. A very nice and spacious area. Another big bar on board. Of course, there need to be a lot of bars on the ship as we have more than 6,000 passengers on board. The pub is looking very nice, very beautiful, very typical for a pub. So a very nice area here on board. And we're now heading back out on the Galleria Virtuosa, continuing our tour, heading now to the rear part of the ship. And we are now heading to the other side of the Galleria Virtuosa just for a second, and then later on we can see some more restaurants. We will see one more main restaurant, but first let's head back to the TV studio and bar. We can take a look into the TV studio and bar from the other side. Here we can see the Galleria one more time. And now we're heading to the TV studio and bar again, and here we can take a look inside from the other side. So as you can see, it's also quite spacious. Also from there you have no view of the ocean, but you can take a look down to the Galleria. On the other side we have another main restaurant. This is the Il Campo restaurant, and it's exclusively used for guests that have booked an Aurea cabin. So I cannot go inside, but we can take a look through the window. And now we're heading back to the other side of the Galleria Virtuosa and continuing our ship tour there. But first, let's take a look from this little bridge here over the Galleria. From here you have a fantastic view, and you can see this impressive LED sky and all those shops we've already seen during the ship tour. Now we're heading to a few more restaurants. I've already shortly mentioned that there are several more restaurants here on this deck. On the right side we now have the Kaito Sushi Bar. Traditional sushi bar, rather small. You can either sit directly here on the right side, and there are also some tables on the left side. Behind that we have the Kaito Teppanyaki. The teppanyaki restaurants, you're usually sitting directly in front of the chef, so here we have the seats inside of the restaurant. And then we're continuing on. There's yet another restaurant, and that's the Butcher's Cut. This is of course a steakhouse. All those restaurants are not included. Those are specialty restaurants. Butcher's Cut was still closed, but we can take a look through the window. It also is a rather small but very beautiful restaurant, and also here you have the lifeboats behind the windows, so there's no nice view from this restaurant, and you have some additional tables outside on the Galleria Virtuosa. We're now back at the rear part of the ship at the Infinity Atrium, and here we have the Champagne Bar. On this side you can also book your next cruise at the MSC Future Cruises office, and the main part of the bar is on the other side. Before heading there, we can take a look at yet another shop. Here you can buy jewelry, so another expensive shop. As I said, the main part of the Champagne Bar is located on the other side. We will see that in a second. Here we can see the jewelry shop on the picture, and we are now heading to the other side. But first, let's take another look into the Infinity Atrium. We are now at the highest deck of the Infinity Atrium, but due to the mirror on the roof, it looks much bigger. Here you can see that, and that's also the reason why it's called Infinity Atrium. From here we're now heading to the main part of the Champagne Bar, where you also find the bar. Of course here you can get some nice champagne, but also some other drinks are available here. Another traditional atrium bar. And from here you also have the possibility to go into the Il Campo restaurant. And now we can take a look at the pictures of this beautiful bar. The Champagne Bar also comes with the typical look of MSC Cruises. The ships are not that colorful anymore like the older ships, but still they have a very distinctive look, and you can always immediately tell that it is an MSC cruise ship. We're now heading to the rear part of the ship, and the MSC Virtuosa is an international cruise ship, so therefore it has to have a very big casino, and that's the Red Gem Casino. We will see that later on. We're heading there now, but we're going straight through it, heading to the Carousel Lounge first, and on our way back we can take a closer look at the casino. To go inside the casino you have to cross this glass floor, where you can look down to deck number 6. It's also quite nice and impressive. And already now on our way through the casino we can clearly see that it is huge. You have a lot of different options, and you have the bar in the middle. You can see there are some preparations already done for the immigration control. So the table you can see here on the right side usually is not in this location. That was already for the immigration control of the United Kingdom. We're now heading to the Carousel Lounge, and this is a quite weird lounge. I'm not really understanding why it is the way it is. It is intended as a second theater. There are shows in the evening and you can only go inside with a reservation. Most of the time you even have to pay for it. And it's only used in the evening. It's one of the biggest and nicest bars and lounges on board. You can see those black curtains in the background. Behind that you have huge windows with a view over the stern wave. They are very distinctive for the look of the ship. from the outside, but still this huge lounge is only used in the evening. That is very, very strange, and in my opinion a big waste of space. Also MSC saw that this is not a very good idea, so on the Euribia it was changed, and it is also used as a lounge during the day. There's just a sign that says there are some rehearsals, there may be some noises, but otherwise you can use it as a bar. Here on the Virtuosa it's only open in the evening, and you cannot even use those big panoramic windows, so that's a bit sad. And I'm not really getting why they haven't changed it, because I was on board just after the ship was in a shipyard, so that they could have changed it into a regular bar which turns into the event location in the evening, but still it is only used in the evening. We're now on the promenade. The promenade is not very spectacular. You can go there for a walk, you can get some fresh air there, but it's not really a used area. Here we have the outdoor area of the Carousel Lounge, as the lounge is only used in the evening. Also this area is almost not used, which is quite sad. It's much more used on the Euribia, and of course it could also be used much more here on the Virtuosa, but at the moment it's a rather unused area. We're now heading back inside, and we've now seen all public areas on deck 7, and that also means that we have now seen all public areas of the lower decks. So we can now take a look at the intelligent elevators. Already outside you choose the deck you want to go to, and then you will be assigned to an elevator, in this case elevator E. And once you're inside the elevator, you cannot push any buttons anymore. There are no buttons to select a deck. The elevator already knows where to go, so that's working very well. There are less waiting times in the elevator and in front of the elevator, so quite a smart system. In general, it's quite interesting. You have all elevators doubled, so there are 3 main staircases and they are all double. As you can see, there is another set of stairs and elevators on the other side, so you have 6 elevators on the port side and 6 on the starboard side, and this is the case in all 3 staircases, which are located in the front, in the middle and in the back. We are now already on deck numbers 15, so we've skipped deck 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14. Those are decks with only cabins, and we're now on deck 15. And here we have the Marketplace restaurant, which is the buffet restaurant on board. It is very, very spacious, as we have up to 6,300 passengers on board, therefore it needs to be pretty big. As you know, MSC is one of the cheapest cruise operators on the market, if not the cheapest cruise operator. Therefore you cannot expect fine dining on board. The food quality in the main restaurants is rather simple, and for example, if you compare it to Costa, on ships of Costa I always experienced that the buffet restaurant has a lower quality than the main restaurants. On MSC it doesn't matter. In my opinion, the food quality, the main restaurants and in the buffet restaurant is more or less the same, so you can choose whatever you like best. Here we have a special part of the buffet area, which can also be used as a specialty restaurants. You can see that there are some special tables. I think they have a heating function, but it was not used on my cruise, and there are also no information on it on the deck plan anymore, so I think it's not used at all. We're now at the main pool area. This is the Atmosphere pool, and here you have 2 bars next to each other. We have the Atmosphere Ice Cream Bar and the Atmosphere Bar South. The Atmosphere Bar South you can get some drinks, and on the Ice Cream Bar of course you can get some nice ice cream. In front of it we have the main pool. This is the Atmosphere pool. If you remember my ship tour around the Mein Schiff Relax, you can see that the pool looks more or less about the same size, but actually it's 2 pools. They are separated in the middle, therefore they are actually much smaller than on the Mein Schiff Relax. They are not very well suitable for swimming. They are more for relaxation or just swimming very short lanes. But still, it is a very nice and spacious pool area. There's a lot of space for sun lounges, and of course there's another bar, the Atmosphere Bar North, which is serving drinks as well for the pool. So there's a bar on both sides of the pool area. We're now heading on to the next pool. We're heading to the tropical pool, and that's the indoor pool. At least if the weather is not good, you can close the glass roof and it is an indoor pool. And if the weather is good, you can open the roof and it is another outdoor pool. Of course, this pool also comes with a bar. This is the tropical bar. The pool is a little bit smaller, but also quite nice and spacious. And the area itself is also looking very nice. In addition to the pool, there are also some hot tubs around the pool, and in general it has a very nice design with a few palm trees and a lot of artwork, so it is a very beautiful pool. In front of it we have the MSC Yacht Club. From here I cannot head that much further to the front, but we're heading there anyway, of course. I'm going to show you as much as possible. As you can see, there are also some tables and a lot of space for sun lounges here. You can see the palm trees on the left side, banana trees. So also here we have a quite beautiful design. And we're now at the front staircase. Here at the front staircase we only have one set of elevators. And as you can see here we have the MSC Yacht Club. So I cannot access the area in front of it, so we can go up to deck number 16. We'll take a look at deck 16 later on. We're straight away heading up to deck number 18, because here we have the sliding roof and a public area around the sliding roof. It's another sun deck, a rather calm area, so if you want to be a bit away from all the noises, you can go here up to deck 18 and find a nice sun lounger around the sliding roof. So maybe you've realized we've went from deck 16 to deck 18. And I haven't skipped deck 17, there just simply isn't deck 17. For example, on the German ships there's no deck 13 because the 13 is considered an unlucky number. And in Italy, which is the main target market of MSC Cruises, the 17 is considered the unlucky number, so there is no deck 17. In the meantime, we are on deck 19, but on deck 19 we have only MSC Yacht Club areas, so I can only head up the stairs and that's as far as I can get, so we can go back down. We can go back inside, back down to deck number 16, and here we can continue our ship tour. I cannot go inside the MSC Yacht Club, I cannot show you the lounges and restaurants that are there, because they are only accessible for guests which booked the MSC Yacht Club cabin. So we're now back at the tropical pool. We're now on the upper deck of the tropical pool, where you have some additional seating options. You can take a look down to the pool, down to the palm trees and banana trees, the beautiful decoration. You can see the hot tubs on the picture as well. And here on the upper deck we have some additional seating, but also the possibility to play some games. For example, you can play table tennis here, and other games are available as well. We also have another hot tub which even is a bit wider than the ship itself, so you have a nice view from there. At the moment it was not filled with water, as it was still very early, and pools are also opening in the early morning hours, but I was even earlier than that. Here we can see table tennis, a kicker table and other games you can play. You can also take another look down to the tropical pool. And of course we also can take a look at the pictures of this area. Here we can see the seating area and the access to the hot tub. Here we can see table tennis and a bit more seating areas, and here we can take another look down to the tropical pool. So now we've seen all parts at the front and we're now heading to the rear part of the ship. Deck 16 is the last deck that is connecting all the way from the front to the rear part of the ship. So we're now heading to the rear part and we're taking a look at the rest of the ship. Of course, also here we have a lot of possibilities for sun lounges. We have some additional hot tubs here. And we can also already see the gym, which we will take a look at in a couple of minutes. But first we are following the jogging track all the way to the stern of the ship, because there we have another pool, which is the Horizon pool. But first we can take another look at the main pool, the biggest pool on board, the Atmosphere pool. And now we're heading all the way to the stern of the ship. Following the jogging track, we're going to see all those public areas that we are now walking past in a second. But we are firstly heading back down to deck 15, because now we can also take a look at the outdoor dining area of the Marketplace restaurant. As you can see, it's not a very big and spacious area, but at least there is the possibility to enjoy breakfast, lunch or dinner also, with some fresh air outside. So now we can head back up to deck 16, and now we can finally take a look at the Horizon pool. The Horizon pool is the smallest pool on board, but it comes with a nice view, because obviously it's located at the stern of the ship, so you have a nice view over the stern wave. Around it we have an amphitheater, so we have a lot of seating options designed like an amphitheater, so you have a nice view from every seat or sun lounges. Here we can see that. We're gonna see the bar that belongs to this area later on, because now we're heading back inside. But first let's take a look at the pictures. Here we can see the pool. And here we can see the amphitheater. We're now heading through this door we can see here in the middle to take a look at the indoor areas we have skipped by walking past them on the outside. So now we're heading back inside. We're now coming to the sport area of the ship. Here we have the sports bar. Looks exactly the same like on the Euribia, and it's located in the sport area. That's why it's called the sports bar. Here, for example, we have some arcade games, we have bowling, we have the MSC Formula Racer, we have a Hologate Arena and the XD Interactive Cinema, as well as the Sportsplex, which is an indoor sports court. Here we can see some of the arcade games, and on the right side we have the bowling area. Here we can see it, and in a second we will also see it on the pictures. So here you can play some bowling. And then we're turning around. Here on the right side we have the Hologate Arena, and on the left side we have the MSC Formula Racer, so it's a Formula 1 simulator. And in a second we can also take a look at the Sportsplex. Here we can see the Formula Racer on the picture, and now we're heading to the Sportsplex. And same like on the Mindshift fleet, the Sportsplex is an indoor sports court. On most ships it's located outdoor. Here it's inside, so it's not weather depending. And what's also quite nice is that it's not possible that balls or anything is going overboard. We're heading further on back to the front of the ship, and we're now coming to the Virtual Games Arcade. Here on the left side we have some arcade games, and now we're reaching the main virtual arcade games area. As you can see, it's quite colorful, very typical. On most cruise ships you have an area like this. And now we're continuing on to the front, and we're now coming to the actual sport part, because we're now getting to the gym. Gym is officially called MSC Gym, powered by Techno Gym. So we have a lot of nice Techno Gym sports equipment, mainly for endurance. There's also a bit of sports equipment for strength, but it's mainly equipment for endurance. As you can see, it is not the biggest gym if you consider that we have more than 6,000 passengers on board, but still it's a quite nice and good gym with a lot of nice sports equipment. So now we've also seen all public areas on deck 16, so we can head up to deck number 18. Once again, there is no deck 17, so we're now already on a deck 18. Here we have my favorite bar on board, and that is the Sky Lounge. The Sky Lounge comes with a smoking area that we've just seen that is separated from the rest of the bar, and it is an adults only bar, and it is one of the biggest bars on board. It comes with a very nice view over the atmosphere pool to the front, and of course with big panoramic windows to the side, so you can enjoy the sea or the landscape. As you can see, it is a very spacious bar, so usually you will find a place here even in the evening, as it is quite far away from the main parts of the ship, from the Galleria Virtuosa, so usually you have a good chance to find a seat here, even though it is a bar with a high demand, so usually it's always full, but I was always lucky to find at least one empty table here. As you can see, the view is fantastic. It is also a nice and comfortable bar, and as it is an adults only bar, it also has a quite nice calm atmosphere. Of course, there's some live music in the evening, then it's a bit louder, but it is a very beautiful bar and my favorite bar on board. Here on this side it's a bit shorter, but you have some additional seating here as well, and of course we can see the bar itself. And from the Sky Lounge, after taking a look at the picture again, we can head to the kids area of the ship. Therefore we're now leaving the Sky Lounge. We're now walking down this hallway, and here we can see the Doremi Land, which is the area for kids and teens. There are different areas for kids of different ages. There are areas for babies, for small kids, for bigger kids, and for teens. Of course, MSC is a family-orientated cruise company, so the kids area is also bigger than on other ships of different companies. What's also quite interesting is that from the kids area we're now heading directly into the adults area, because we're now coming to the Attic Club, and that's the nightclub on board. So this is the disco. It is surprisingly small considering that it's a ship for 6,000 passengers. And what's also quite interesting is that this is the teens area, and in the night it becomes a second dance floor for the Attic Club. So it's a shared kids and adults location. On the other side we have the main dance floor, and here we can see the bar. Here we have the main dance floor with a DJ booth, but as you can see it is surprisingly small considering we have more than 6,000 passengers on board. And the bar of the Attic Club is also a shared bar. It's also the Horizon bar, so the inside part of the bar is the Attic bar and the outside part is the Horizon bar that serves the Horizon pool. I've already mentioned that bar. From here you have the look down to the Horizon pool, and this bar is in charge for the public areas here at the rear part of the ship. And now we've also seen all public areas on deck 18, so we can now head up to deck number 19. But first let's take another look at the fantastic view from up here. We can see the Horizon pool down there, the view over the stern wave, and here we can see the seating areas. Now we can head up to deck number 19. Here we have the Himalayan Bridge, which is a climbing area, and we have the Savannah Aqua Park. So here we have some water slides. We have a few small slides for children, and then we have 3 main slides for smaller and bigger children. And with bigger children, I'm of course also meaning adults that are still enjoying water slides just like I do. There is a small slide, a bigger slide, and then we have a water bowl slide. And also the middle-sized slide is quite adventurous because it comes with a see-through part, which also goes over the side of the ship, so that's also quite interesting water slide. This area also comes with a bar, that's the Savannah bar. We'll see that in a second. Here we can see the end of the water slide, at least of 2 of those water slides, the small and the middle-sized one. And on the other side we have the bar. We are heading there now, and then we can go up one more deck, even though there is officially no more deck, so we are already on the highest deck. But we can still go a little bit higher because we still have the tower of the water slides, where you can find the entrance of the slide, of course. This has to be a little bit higher, and now we're heading up to the highest point accessible to me on the ship. That is the tower of the water slides. You can see the stairs here in the background, and before reaching the tower itself we can go up one more deck. It's not officially called deck 20, but as you can see it's clearly one deck higher than the rest of the ship, than the rest of deck 19. It was quite dark here early in the morning, but due to the slowly rising sun we can see the tower of the water slides. Can see the start of the bowl slide, and the other 2 slides are small, and the middle-sized one. You can see the see-through part. And now we've seen all public areas of the beautiful MSC Virtuosa. But before ending the video, I will show you 2 more areas. We're now heading back down to deck 19. We are shortly turning to the left because there's one more area, but it's the top 19 exclusive solarium. Another area that is not accessible to all guests, so therefore I cannot show it to you. And now, to end the video, I'm showing you one more special thing. And therefore we now have to go back down to deck number 15. So we're quickly going there in a time lapse, and on deck 15 I can show you the panoramic elevator. There are 2 additional elevators on the ship, one on the port side and one on the starboard side in the middle of the ship. And those are panoramic elevators with nice view. Here we are. Here in this elevator you can choose where you want to go. directly in the elevator, and from the elevator you can enjoy this beautiful view. Of course, I took this video a little bit later because when it's dark outside there's nothing to see in the elevator, but during the day you can enjoy this fantastic view here from the elevator, and you can go all the way down back to deck number 5. And now we've seen all public areas of the beautiful MSC Virtuosa. We're coming to the end of the video, and in the next video I will show you my cabin, I will show you the life on board, I will tell you a bit more about the food on board, and of course I will show you the cruise itself. But that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Here you can see when the next video will be uploaded and the name of the song. As always, I'd like to say thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to comment, like, subscribe or share the video link, and I hope to see you in my next video then.